Hey everybody. So yeah, yesterday ThreeJS threw a real curveball at me. Basically, what the problem is that I've been working on a spotlight, and the spotlight, in order, it's kind of like it's like a flashlight pointing at something, and in order to move it, like if you want to look at something else, you have to um, you have to create an object, and then you have to add that object to the scene, and then you move that object, and then that's what the spotlight is pointing at, which is like completely different than the way camera works. Camera, you can just say, look at this spot, look at that spot, whatever. So basically, I made an assumption that, and you just don't know what you don't know, right? So I made an assumption that it was going to work like camera, and it doesn't. So then that was a problem, right? That's a an issue that is just a problem. But then on top of that, there's another problem, and that in ThreeJS there's a whole concept of combining objects together. So a light can be combined with a mesh, or two meshes can be like you can make advanced shapes by combining two meshes together, things like that. And that is a whole like can of worms that I did not want to build as part of the proof of concept. Um, so then I do want spotlights because I think spotlights look really cool, and that's the whole one of the points of doing this is to do cool stuff. So I want spotlights, but I don't want to deal with the merging of trying to manage multiple combined objects together. Um, because I don't know exactly how I want to do that yet, and I feel like um, I'll focus on that in the future. Um, so then, yesterday it was like, well, I put all this work into getting spotlights in here, and they can do all kinds of stuff, but the one critical um, aspect of it I can't do. And so, do I just back out of spotlights completely, or do I push through and get spotlights working? But I'm going to do some sort of half baked implementation that I will end up having to tear down in the future when I do deal with, probably like a year and a half from now, when I do finally deal with merging, having multiple items merged together. Like what do I do? Because basically what I would be doing is like taking a high interest rate loan out, like when it comes to tech debt. I'm going to make this credit card thing where I know if, for a fact that the way I'm going to do it is going to end up having to be completely torn down. And if I let this thing, if it ends up becoming a critical part of the application, I could end up poison pilling the whole application. Um, so, sometimes you can do something very early in an application that basically makes the application completely unsuitable down the road. I've been on tons of projects where, at the $10 million mark on a $1 billion project, I was once on a project like this where at $10 million mark, a decision was made that caused the $100 million project uh, that we didn't discover till $100 million. The government had paid $100 million in, and then we realized, oh my gosh, we're not going to be able to continue this project. We're going to have to shut it down, and that was bad. And so this has the potential of being something like that. So I don't want to bake something in that is bad, but I do want to have the spotlight. So I have to be careful. So, anyways, in order to accomplish this, I'm going to have to somehow manage the spotlights. And one of the initial problem I ran into yesterday was that I have to manage the way I add them to the scene. Like this right now, basically what happened is anytime the spotlight was modified, it's going to add that same target to the scene, and obviously that's not reasonable. So I don't want to add to the scene if it's already been added, but I don't have any kind of state indicator, any way to determine if it's been added or not. And then, so that's a big problem unto itself. But then so probably the obvious solution would be we'll just add the spotlight to um, add the target to the spotlight. and then check to see if the spotlight has the target, and if it has the target, assume that it's already in the scene. So fine, that works. The only problem is what we've learned let's see, let's go look at the interfaces of the light interface. What we learned here is that when you add these complex objects to your item, it makes the items where you can't convert them to JSON. If you can't convert them to JSON, you won't be able to store them for export. And basically, that poison pills the whole export process, which is, as far as I'm concerned, this POC is not won't be proven. It'll fail if I can't export and import. So like I have to refactor these two away. Well, if I added a ThreeJS spotlight to or target to the light, then same problem. So I've already learned that lesson. You know, I got burned on that once. I'm not going to get burned on that again. So then, okay, so what's next? Well, I guess what I need to do is I need to add a target to this interface. And then this interface will have a target, and that's great, right? That's great. The problem is that is not going to be a sustainable solution when we start trying to group things, you know, like because you can only group one. It's like a one-off. I can store one. Oh, well, I can have an array of them, but what if I want to store them in multiple things? You know, it just is not a feasible long-term solution for the MVP part. So because like I'm at this is video 204. So like I've been working on this for about 204 sessions. And so the first year I wanted to just focus on the POC. So just adding features and being able to import, export, and just make sure that there's nothing about ThreeJS or Angular or anything like this, just a proof of concept. And I think that's going swimmingly. Year 2, I want to work on MVP. So, and I want to figure out, okay, what to make this an actual usable product, what would minimum product, what do I need to be able to do? And the big question mark at the end of the POC is, can I continue to use the POC to work on the MVP, or do I have to start from scratch again? And right now, I don't think I have to start from scratch. The only things that are a problem right now that I just think prevent us from getting to the MVP stage is these forms, these two fields, right? So, but this could be something, because when I do the MVP, I'm definitely going to have to at least be able to merge multiple meshes together and merge lights to meshes. I'm going to need to be able to have like advanced meshes that, you know, have carve outs in them and all kinds of, you know, like it's going to be a much more robust, larger feature set. And this is something that will not be good in that feature set. So anyways, I think it's okay. I think if I add a target in here and I describe the target, then I will be able to export that description. And then whenever I do the import, the system will be able to say, oh, okay, there's a target. I need to do this and add this to this scene. And I think that that's, you know, just the way it's going to be. So I need, so I think, you know, the first step will be to add this target to the interface, a target object that describes the target. And the target object is going to be, it's not going to be required. It's not going to have one. And then and that's that. So basically, I think a target object, I guess it probably makes sense to have it above the target X position. And then I don't even know if we should have target X position or if that should be just part of the target object. I guess that should be part of the target object. So I'm just going to call it target, and then it's going to be a target object. And then we'll remove the X position later. And then we're just going to add a new interface. And, you know, I don't see any reason not to make it exportable. But and this is going to have basically, I guess, an X position, which is going to be a number, a Y position, which is going to be a number. This needs to, I need to have the question mark to make it optional, because I mean, I can't imagine one that we don't want to have the target, but I don't think we want to require it on creation. And a Z position, which is a number. And then I guess what we want is an ID, which is a number. And then I think what we want to do is we want the ID to be optional. And I think that we will infer, and I do hate infer. I don't like that. In general, I do not like to infer things from code. I like the code to specifically say things. But I think we'll infer that if an ID exists, that it exists in the object. I mean, that it exists in the scene, that it's already been added to the scene. So I've created it, and it exists in the scene. I think that this is probably a long video already. Yeah, it's 11 minutes. I think this is a good place to stop on this. I don't know why this is broken. Not assignable to parameter or undefined. Oh, I did the wrong one. There we go. Does that fix the problem? Yeah. So yeah, I made the wrong one optional. I do think this one's going to go away though. I don't think I want to. No longer necessary. And then high interest. Detect it. It should be removed when the when grouping is implemented. And hopefully, like, every time if I try to build on the target object, if I'm like, oh, now I could do this, oh, and and it's great, I have this target object to work with, I'll see this comment and go, oh shit, no, I don't want to do that. So anyways, guys, I know we didn't really do a whole lot of coding on this one, but a lot of thought needs to go into the next steps. So happy coding, everybody. Bye.